I do not identify as a Democrat or Republican, and I believe it would be healthiest for us as a country to move away from the divisive two-party system currently dominating our political landscape. As such, I believe our country most needs a leader who is intelligent, articulate, humble, and capable of appealing to both sides of our political spectrum, regardless to whether there's a D or an R next to his name. This is essential for multiple reasons. Defeating the incumbent requires more than just appealing to his opposition's base. There appears to be a significant pocket of 2016 Trump voters who are disappointed and even disgusted by how poorly their choice of president has failed them. I believe many even feel guilty about it and may not express it publicly, but they're privately willing to vote for someone else, in the same way that many publicly scoffed Trump, then privately voted for him. It's hard to expect those voters to support someone who has unproductively and even unfairly blamed Trump for everything in the way that Republicans treated the previous president in the Thanks Obama era. You guys remember how the Thanks Obama meme grew out of conservatives hyperbolically blaming the sitting president for every problem under the sun? It's a real shame how many liberals have turned around and done the same thing to Trump, and now they expect the people they've relentlessly chastised for years to take their side and vote a strong progressive into office. It won't work. It's going to take a calm candidate who opposes Trump's bluster with logic and puts forth policies that appeal to both sides. The other two reasons I think we need a bipartisan president are interlinked. We need someone who can unite the currently polarized Congress by presenting common ground and humility, and someone who, because of that, can actually get things done in office. I respect the hell out of Bernie Sanders, and he was my #1 candidate in 2016. If he's still healthy enough, I'd be happy to have him as my president in 2021, but I have no delusions that he will actually be able to change our current healthcare system into a single payer, make all public college free, and end student loan debt in the following 4 to 8 years. That's because even though I strongly support those things in some form or another, they're far left proposals in the context of this country, and we would need a majority of far enough left Democrats in both houses of Congress to make it happen. I would much rather have a bipartisan candidate in the Oval Office who succeeds at gradual progress, albeit innovative, than a candidate who outright loses to Trump again, or gets in office only to demand too much of a polarized Congress and make no progress because of it. So, Bernie isn't my top choice for the 2020 primaries. It's a fantastic candidate that some of you may not have heard of or researched yet. His name is Andrew Yang, and he seems to be the only candidate bringing real 21st century solutions to the table. I won't get into the weeds of all his policies here, and I couldn't, but I will point out that he has been absurdly mislabeled and written off as a single-issue candidate. That's not only wrong, but ironic, because he is and always has been the Democratic candidate with the most policy proposals on his website, including detailed outlines and rationales throughout this entire primary. Yang had 90 unique policy outlines on his website when Sanders had nothing but a donation link. So why has he been falsely mislabeled as single issue? In addition to the incredible lack of fair media coverage for him, it's likely because his flagship proposal is so innovative and unique that it appears to be the only thing most people who have heard about him bother to talk about. That proposal is a form of universal basic income that he calls the Freedom Dividend, granting every adult USA citizen the ability to opt in to receive $1,000 a month free and clear from Uncle Sam. Yang proposes funding the dividend with a combination of reducing wasteful bureaucracy, closing tax loopholes, and a value-added tax. VATs are common in European countries, and the VAT he proposes is about half the rate of theirs, which American businesses currently don't pay at all, allowing multi-billion-dollar corporations like Amazon to regularly pay $0 in federal taxes. The VAT would be exempt from essential items like milk and diapers, and even if it did slightly raise the prices of non-essential goods, you would have to spend thousands of dollars more than you do now every month to not net a significant financial gain from your $1,000 per month. People currently receiving up to $1,000 per month in welfare would have a choice to keep their current welfare or exchange it for the dividend. This has been unfairly and ignorantly criticized by figures like AOC as trying to abolish welfare programs. A. Yang proposes citizens have an option to keep their current welfare or make the switch. He has never proposed shutting down current programs. B. If those programs are reduced or removed because simply giving people the money directly is more preferred by the citizens, it's a brilliant outcome because it reduces wasteful bureaucracy for an outcome recipients prefer. C. That criticism shows a lack of understanding for how efficient and effective our current welfare system is, or rather, isn't. I believe the only ones who would prefer to keep their current welfare would be those receiving over $1,000 a month in services, and even some of them might prefer to get less money directly than to accept services with all those strings attached. Why? Put yourself in their position. If you're in need of assistance, would you rather be issued food stamps with restrictions on what kind of food you can buy, or just be given the money that you could use on whatever you need? What if you don't need to spend money how the welfare office thinks you should? What if you're able to grow most of your own food or get it from your friends and family, but you need to save up money for car repairs or a reliable vehicle so you can get a better job? What if you need gas money or nicer clothes for a job interview? What if you need money to move for a better job or get away from an abusive ex? Welfare fails to offer those options and inherently discourage recipients from improving their situation too much, or they'll be cut off from that assistance during a transition from poverty. Contrast that with Yang's dividend, which is yours to spend however you want, no matter how much money you're making, and if you feel you don't want $12,000 each year, you simply opt out of it. Because it's available to everyone, most citizens will accept it, there's zero social stigma that comes to receiving it or spending it, which those welfare recipients battle daily. This is already in effect with the oil dividend in Alaska, and it's arguably the state's most popular bipartisan program. When I speak to my middle-class family and friends about how they would spend their $1,000 per month, they tell me the kinds of things I'd expect to hear. They say they'd save it for rainy day events like needing expensive repairs. They would go out to eat more often, buy nicer clothes, or save for vacations. Some mention investments like buying stocks, taking some college classes, or even having a safety net or starting capital for side businesses. None have told me that they would refuse it. None told me they would quit their, say, $60,000 a year salaried jobs because they'd rather do nothing at all and live off of the $12,000 from the government every year. What some, including 18-year-olds, have told me is that while they would save and spend the extra money responsibly, the poor people who receive it would probably just use that money on drugs, alcohol, or other immoral vices. While I don't believe that nearly as many people would use that money irresponsibly as many people think, I say it's worth it. We don't allow the reality that some people abuse welfare to stop us from providing a safety net for those who need it. We don't let irresponsible car drivers stop us from having highways. Besides, if cigarette and alcohol companies make more money or people choose to buy more luxury items, then it's a win for capitalism alongside the wins for the majority of people using that money, quote-unquote, responsibly. That's part of why this proposal has a chance to actually pass. By the way, a UBI bill was passed in the House in 1970, but not the Senate. It benefits companies, workers, middle-class, and lower-class citizens. Most economists agree something like this is inevitable and would be extremely productive as technology replaces human workers and the corporations continue to benefit while working class continues to dissipate. In the pilots and case studies of this proposal, only one demographic has worked less after receiving a UBI, which was new mothers. Since the USA is already decades behind many other developed countries regarding maternity leave, I think it's a great thing if people choose to lean on their UBI in order to work fewer hours and spend more time with their children at any point in their lives. While Yang has received interesting endorsements such as Anonymous, Elon Musk, Dave Chappelle, and Donald Glover, he has been savagely ignored by the media, especially MSNBC, which is traditionally a liberal network. Apart from just not being covered, MSNBC alone has called him the wrong name, gone out of their way to leave him off of over a dozen graphics, and CNBC even put the wrong image of him in one of their graphics, using a stock image of someone named Jeffrey Yang instead. He has also been brutally snubbed by moderators in the 6 debates he's qualified to enter, routinely being given the least speaking time, even when compared to the likes of John Delaney and Tom Steyer. He had half the speaking time as Amy Klobuchar in his last debate, though he was polling higher than she was. Despite this, Yang entered a race of over 20 candidates with zero campaign experience or fundraising base. Without accepting money from any super PACs, his average donation size is under $18, and 99% of his donations are under $200. Despite these restrictions, his campaign has outlasted 3 senators, 3 governors, 2 mayors, and 5 members of Congress who enjoyed established fundraising sources and tens of millions of dollars worth of media coverage for free. He has outperformed them because he's made the best of his table scraps of debate speaking time, invested his funds efficiently, and his message resonates with those who hear it. There is a clear evidence showing how much better Yang performs against his opponents with key demographics needed to win the general election, when accounting for the number of people polled that simply haven't heard of him yet. Those demographics include the young vote and black vote, which came out in droves to the polls for Obama and did not show up for Hillary. More importantly, Yang has unmatched ability to flip those who voted for Trump in 2016. I encourage you to vote for whomever you feel will best service the office of president, but I urge you to do so with a fair knowledge of each candidate. If you are interested, Yang's website, featuring tons of detailed outlines for his policy proposals, can be found in the description, along with a full free audio reading of his powerful book, The War on Normal People, and a final link outlining how the media has railroaded him. Do what you will at the ballot box, but I've said my piece.